The lesson I had to teach was about kicking. The lesson took place at Jonesboro Montessori School. The students had to knock down 3 out of 4 bowling pins and kick around 3 out of 4 cones. There were 8 girls and 5 boys in the classroom. There were no disabilities, and the space was limited because the classroom was small. One thing that I could have done differently was come up with more activities so that the students could be engaged more. And one thing that the students could take away from this is learn how to kick, because some students might want to play sports. The block plan was originally made for three people to do, and we did all 3 lessons in 3 days. Student A did good, and then student B had problems with trying to kick the ball, and I kept encouraging each student to keep trying. One thing that I could take away from this lesson is to have patience and just have fun with the kids.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen with you and do my PowerPoint presentation. So Tyler and I don't know if Jack is still in the group or not, but we split up the PowerPoint presentation. She did 1 through 3, I did 4 through 6, and we're both ended up doing a slide with a reflection. So our block plan, we discussed early on what we wanted to teach. We decided on kicking. It was pretty much unanimous. Then we talked about what we wanted to teach each day, which wasn't really difficult to decide on, because I did the daily planning of what we would teach each day. We discussed the cues we wanted to teach. Not very difficult for our students, mainly because they're preschoolers. We didn't want it to confuse them too bad. And then we found out the materials that we needed for each day. We knew there was about 10 to 15 students, so we needed anywhere from about 10 to 15 soccer balls or any other kind of ball. Give them options and let them choose what ball they wanted to use. Overall, we didn't change the block plan too much. We didn't get all the materials, and we added a few materials. I know on the block plan it talked about getting 2 to 3 soccer goals. I didn't feel like putting all that in my car all the time. So we kind of nixed that, where it was just a 1 soccer goal and bowling pins for a new game. On the second day, we did not break down the steps of kicking. Tyler kind of built off my first lesson, which was totally fine. We still worked on the steps of kicking, but we didn't dive into each detail or anything. The last day was the day that changed the most, because I had to teach again instead of Jack teaching. I did all but the 1 station to try and keep the validity and reliability of the unit. I also did not have enough time to make a post-test for the students to really see their improvement from pre-test to post-test, which I was really bummed about that I didn't get to do. I made a pre-test for my lesson on the first day. It is, to my knowledge, that is the only summative assessment that was used for this unit. Like I said in the last slide, because of a last-minute lesson, I did not have time to make a post-test, which I don't know if that is affecting, or if it affected the validity or the reliability of our unit. Each day we use formative assessment to really see whether or not the students are understanding what we are teaching them and where we need to focus on in the next lesson. Obviously we weren't grading them, but we just wanted to see the improvement and that what we're teaching them, that they're grasping the concept, and instead of using their tippy toe to kick a soccer ball, maybe they're going to use their instep a little bit more. Here's my artifacts video. I really don't want to play all of it right now, so play button for you. That was, let me go back. That was the second lesson I taught. That was the third day. I did not get video of the first day due to some technical difficulties, but this is one of my artifacts of my teaching. The validity and reliability, I kind of touched on this a while ago, but I feel that we had content validity throughout our unit. We used our pretest to see if our students could follow the cues that we had set prior to teaching. And I believe that we used the parallel forms method of reliability. Since we only had time to teach 3 days, it was a short time period between the two tests. But since we didn't get to have a post-test, I'm not sure if we ended up having a reliable unit or not. But if we had made the post-test, I feel the parallel forms method of reliability would have been the reliability that we would have had. A few instructional modifications that came about. Well, we didn't have any changes with our demographics regarding students with disabilities. We did, however, have changes in numbers each class. Our first day we had 13 students. Then the second day we had like 9, and the last day we had about 11. So the numbers of the students fluctuated each day. We didn't know how many we would have when we walked in the classroom, which is totally fine. We still brought enough materials to make sure everybody gets a soccer ball. The one major modification I had to make was on the first day I taught. I had 3 stations planned, and when Jack didn't show up, I had to decide to cancel a station because each station required a teacher. Since they're preschoolers, they're going to need help understanding the rules and instructions for that station. Like I said, mainly because they were preschoolers. If they were older, it wouldn't have mattered if a teacher hadn't shown up or not. We would have gone with it because, older students tend to listen a little bit more than preschoolers do. So that's the reason why I made the decision to go ahead and just cancel a station. My reflection over 2 students. Had one student, he was very, very good at kicking a soccer ball for his age. He would go up and kick the ball as hard as he could and correctly, like with the instep. He would plant his foot where he needed to, his non-kicking foot, and he would follow through. His eyes were on the target, not just down at the ball. I challenged him a little bit by making him scoot back. So it would be a little bit more of a challenge for him to still kick correctly and consistently. But he still did it. He little bit harder to see him show kicking with the instep because the farther away that you are, you want to kick it as hard as you can, and you can't really kick it as hard as you can with your instep. And so he would sometimes use his toe, and I would make adjustments to that. Then we had one little girl who struggled really hard with kicking a ball. She would lead with her toe down, pointed to the ground. So her toe would drag across the ground before it got to the ball, and so that made the ball not travel very far. I helped her out. My modification for that was a follow after me section, which I stood right next to her, and I would step with the correct feet real slow and have her step correctly as well until I felt confident in her ability to kick it, as better than what she started out on. She got the hang of it, but she still led with her toe. But she was more confident and happier that she could actually do it like her classmates, and so that made it all worth it. My personal reflection on this is I really enjoyed the teaching days out of the academy. I loved getting to get out in a school and teach actual students instead of always teaching to my peers. The students were great. They listened fairly well for preschoolers, and they made us adults revert back to our childhood years and really have some fun. The students helped ease the nerves I had by immediately curling up next to me and Tyler. Seeing that they were having fun with the bowling pins made us want to continue to bring the bowling pins every time, and we did. But I think if I had to choose a favorite part of teaching during this experience was on the last day, and we played a game called Musical Hoops. And the song I chose to play was Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men. Man, every one of those students knew just about every word to that song. They were screaming the words to the song. They had the biggest smile on their faces, and it was just awesome. So I had a great time. Obviously, the team was a little bit rocky to start off with and to finish out with. Trying to get some help and not having to pull all the weight by myself. But Tyler stepped up. She really did. She tried her hardest. But Jack, didn't really help at all. Like I said, I don't know if he's still in the class or not, but he did not help with this project. So it's just me and Tyler doing this stuff. So that is all I have.